A reform government will give us a two-tier UK economy. They say that they're the party of ordinary Britons who feel abandoned by the political establishment. But look closely and the Reform Party is anything but. They've borrowed policies that are popular with the public, policies that sound left-wing, nationalising utilities, taking back control of water, gas and electricity. On the surface it plays very well. Who doesn't want cheaper bills and an end to profiteering? But scratch the surface and the whole thing collapses. Renationalising utilities is a very expensive policy, yet they're not proposing any new forms of finance. In fact, they're promising to slash taxes. The sums simply do not add up. Expensive policies on one side, a shrinking revenue base on the other. I don't think that renationalisation is there really as a serious proposal. It's like they're using it as a decoy designed to make you think that they care about ordinary people, while their real agenda is something else entirely. So what is their agenda? I think the answer comes from looking who funds them. Millionaire donors, business owners, people with a direct interest in deregulation and tax cuts. Reform is largely funded by ex-Tory donors. There's also evidence that it has a number of overseas backers with links to tax havens. The party has publicly stated that attracting overseas funding is part of its fundraising strategy. And that's why their real economic agenda is all about shrinking the state. We have a massive inequality problem in the UK. Reform's policies will do nothing to correct this. In fact, they'll double down on it. Lower taxes, slashed regulation, cuts in government spending. In practice, this means worse public services. Yet the NHS, the education system, the justice system, they're all at breaking point with failing transport networks and crumbling infrastructure. The very things that ordinary people rely on need rebuilding. This requires massive increases in funding, not more cuts. They say they're going to restore public services, but they plan to make massive cuts in government spending. It just doesn't add up. And then there's the NHS. They say that it'll always be free at the point of use. But in the small print, they're pushing innovations like private vouchers, tax breaks for private healthcare, and incentives to take pressure off the NHS by going private. It's a quiet redesign of the system, further opening the door to a two-tier health service where those with money jump the queue. Obviously, immigration is Reform's flagship issue. It's why many people are drawn to them, I think, but let's be clear, this is driven more by cultural and emotional arguments than by economics. For those attracted by Reform's immigration policy, take a close look at what you'll be voting for in terms of their economics. What you'll find is not security or fairness, but policies that will create a further divided society, the haves and the have-nots. We know how much Nigel Farage admires the United States, but look at what the US model produces. A two-tier society where the wealthy buy the best healthcare, the best education, the best opportunities, while everyone else struggles. This is what a Reform government will do to the UK. And here's the irony, even on immigration, their policy is economically self-defeating. Our health service, our care system, many essential industries absolutely rely on migrant workers to function. Cutting that off doesn't solve problems, it makes them worse. We need to be welcoming migrant workers into the country with open arms. The truth is that migrants are just being used as a scapegoat. Migrants aren't the problem. We need more of them. The real crisis comes from years of austerity, gross inequality and chronic underfunding of public services. Blaming migrants is just a smokescreen to cover for an economic agenda in the interests of the rich, in the interests of creating a society of haves and have-nots. So let's be clear, Reform isn't the party of the ordinary person or the working class. It's a party funded by millionaires in borrowed clothes, dressing up a small state, low tax agenda with a few populist slogans. They promise to represent ordinary people, but the consequences of their policies would be borne by those very people. Worse services, fewer rights, more insecurity. Behind the rhetoric, this isn't about giving power back to the people. It's about consolidating power in the hands of the wealthy while distracting the rest of us with scapegoats and soundbites. The Reform Party is not a revolution, it's a con. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.